Merry Christmas, Dallas family, and to those who may be watching with us for the very first time. I'm so happy you're here to think about and reflect on and to celebrate with us. This time last year, all of us could only watch together online. This year, we're so happy to be able to gather once again in person now at Lightridge High School. And while our band and creative teams have needed to give so much time and prep to being able to be in person this evening, our band's actually had 4 rehearsals just in the last 7 days alone. Brad will be sharing a new really great message in just a few minutes to wrap up our Making Room series. We really feel this series has truly been God's heart for all of us. And also here online this evening, we want to share with you some of our very most favorite songs from our recording last year at the barn. So sit back, enjoy, maybe even sing out loud with some of us, and plan now to join us in January for the relationship series Brad and I will be leading together starting in January. From all of us here at Dallas, we're so happy you're with us online tonight, and have a very Merry Christmas.
Hey everyone, my name is Andrew and I am so glad that you're here. It is Christmas Eve. We've been waiting so long for this experience and it's finally here. I've been counting down the days and I'm super excited that you have joined us today for our Christmas Eve service. And even though you may be watching through a screen, we really do believe that you're here with us, that you are experiencing this gathering with us. So welcome. Last year, our band worked so hard at creating this beautiful and meaningful worship experience that we wanted to share that again. And it's funny because last year I wasn't here. I wasn't here for the in-person Christmas Eve experience. So I'm super excited, me personally, to be able to experience those profound and just meaningful moments of worship with you today. So I hope that you enjoy that. Also, in a few moments, Brad is going to be wrapping up our current series, Making Room, with a really good and profound message. So I hope that you enjoy this worship experience. I hope that you enjoy the message. And again, I'm super glad that you're here with us.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, Dulles!
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, Dulles!
Feliz Navidad!
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, DCC, from the Campbells.
Merry Christmas, Dulles!
Dulles?
Merry Christmas!
Here we are on this Christmas Eve when so many have joined us at Lightridge High School. And while that's happening, I just want to say a warm Merry Christmas to so many of you out of the area, out of the Aldi, Dulles area here in Virginia. Tom and Lauren in Pennsylvania, I know you guys are with us regularly here online. Jeff and Christine, Jeff in Blacksburg, John and Susan in South Carolina, Kent and Susan, oh boy, maybe you shouldn't be doing this. Michelle and Clearwater, Robert Campbell on the West Coast. Your notes to me often mean a lot. Kent's brother in Nebraska. I better stop now because I don't want to leave out anybody. I just really am trying to say hello to so many of you who I know watch regularly or are a part of our church family with us here online. And if you've joined us here in the Dulles area, maybe for the first time, we're so happy you've joined us, and we'd love to meet you in person sometime. So, kind of an odd hobby, I guess, that just slowly developed in my adult life. I don't know if hobby is the word, but I love finding pretty iconic locations that have been in movies. The filming locations where a famous scene was shot, or maybe a bulk of a movie. And little known fact about my family, a lot of people, whenever this comes up, were like, I had no idea. We named Mackenzie, our oldest daughter, we named her after the Father of the Bride movies. And I don't know if that's weird. We love those movies, and Steve Martin and Martin Short. And so on a trip to California, I don't know, many years ago, when the girls were young, I went looking for the Father of the Bride house on one of my days where I had a break and found it in Pasadena. Annie Banks in the movie, Annie Banks is dating and gets engaged to Brian McKenzie, and she becomes Annie Banks McKenzie. And so on a trip, I don't know, a few years later, I took Mackenzie along and we found the house and took this picture in Pasadena where most of the movie Father of the Bride was filmed, inside and out. And so this is just kind of a big deal to me. So imagine my surprise, and really the surprise of a lot of people. I was going to say thousands, maybe millions. Just a few weeks ago, back in November, Airbnb announced that for 4 guests on one night in December, which just happened about a week ago, the Home Alone house in Chicago would play home to 4 guests, non-celebrities, just regular people. And man, I thought about this for a couple days. It just was super exciting to me, even though it wasn't going to be me and I didn't bid, and of course, but they had planned, dinner just like in the movie, delivered pizza, and they were going to set booby traps. The guests were going to set traps through the house, and there was a little experience with a tarantula, and they were going to watch a movie and spend the night in the house. And I thought, man, how cool is it that this famous, iconic location that so much of the world has seen, and many times, some of us watch it every year, made room somehow for just regular people. And so that takes me to something else years ago. Many years ago, I had a light bulb moment reading Luke 14 in the story of Jesus, where Jesus reveals why he actually was sent, why he came to this planet. And it was to show us that the heart of God for everyday people, people with heavy burdens, people with struggles, people with regrets, maybe still haunted by mistakes from long ago, were welcomed into friendship with him. And the picture that Jesus gave us, which was so important in his day, was that of a dinner table. And that God is inviting outsiders, you and me, regular everyday people, irreligious people, to a seat at his table. And in Jesus' day, this was like the ultimate gesture of friendship. It was the invitation by a homeowner to really make their home the home of their guest. Like, my home is your home. I mean, we say that in our day, but in Jesus' day, there was no greater intimate expression of friendship or community than inviting someone to your table. And that's exactly what Jesus says. And in Luke 14, as he's describing this picture, that Jesus was sent as the servant to invite the lonely, to invite those who feel they have no place in religion, to invite those with guilt and regrets, to invite the unclean. He did this, and he's telling the Father, they're accepting the invitation. They're accepting this close friendship with you. But there's more room. He uses the word room. There's more room at your table. And so the Father says, we'll go out and gather more. Go to the faraway country lanes and the back alleys. Invite everyone to my table. And so imagine my surprise this past July when, after reading the story of Luke, the good news story of Jesus' life by Luke so many times. I mean, I've read it so many times. I had another just kind of epiphany in reading, even though it was July, it was middle of the summer, I read the story of Jesus' birth and how Mary and Joseph travel for the census back to Bethlehem so that Joseph could register him and Mary, register himself and his new bride for the Roman census that was being conducted. And he goes to an ancestral town of Bethlehem, and no room is made in any of the guest rooms in the town of Bethlehem for Jesus to be born. And what was offered instead was a stable and essentially what amounted to a cow's feeding trough or a horse's feeding trough. Not the way we would expect God to enter our world. And this connection was made, and I wrote in my notes back in July, wow, Jesus made it so clear in Luke 14 and 15, that the reason he actually came was to invite us, to tell us there's room at his table. God has room for friendship with people like you and me, people who've struggled and maybe even struggled with anger toward him or a lack of faith, certainly with our struggles and what would make us to religious people unclean. It's people like us that he's made room for at his table. And that Jesus came into this world to make room for people like you and me, even when there was no room for him. And so the question we've been talking about this month is, so how do we actually experience that? How do we experience the room that God has made for me in this free gift, this open invitation? By the way, when Jesus says to the Pharisees, the religious leaders, that he came for outsiders, he came for struggling people, he came for lonely people, unclean people, people with sin and mistakes, the religious people just couldn't grasp, they couldn't get their heads around. This man is claiming to be from God, but he's saying unclean people are welcome at this intimate dinner table scene that represents friendship with God, and it's what led to Jesus' crucifixion. Jesus was so committed to this mission of telling us the true heart of God, that he's made room for us, regardless of what we've done, regardless of what we thought, how we've treated him. There's room for you and there's room for me. And so the question this month has been, well, how do we experience that? How do we actually or practically step into that? And there's really been two ways that we've been unpacking together. One is that we recognize, we make room for God in the disruptions of life. We talked just a couple weeks ago about how we want to turn to God, or we give God our attention when we need him to fix something. We need him to fix our problems. We need him to give us our control back when something chaotic has happened, or there's been some kind of disruption where we've lost the control that we really enjoy or we really prefer. We want God to make everything right so we have our control back or we have our security back. And actually, you don't have to go any further than the story of Joseph, the story of Mary, to see that God wants to be experienced in the disruptions, in the unsettling moments of life. Yes, he cares, and his plan is to move broken and hurting to beauty and toward good. That's ultimately the story of God and what he's moving planet Earth toward, and you and me in our lives toward. But there are moments where God wants to sit with us in the pain. He wants to weep with us in the loss. And so the question we've been asking is, can you and I change our paradigm? Can we change our view of God, the way we interact with God, the way we move close to him, by recognizing that when something unexpected happens, or there's a moment of crisis, or something that's unsettling or disruptive to our way of life or our sense of control, will we make room for him in the disruption, as Joseph did, as Joseph chose to do when his life was totally upended by God's plan? Then just this past week, we talked about the other way that we make room. We accept the invitation of God when he says there's room for you and me. Well, we make room for him by making room for outsiders. And listen, some of us need to figure out how to do this practically in our schedules. Like, we need to open up our calendars. We need to say no to something that allows us no margin to actually engage people, to make time for others, to invite people into our home, to our table. Maybe somebody across the street. Amy and I just have new neighbors, and we've gotten to know them and chat in the backyard, and we were just saying the other day that let's sit down and break bread with them and invite them to our table. And I'm telling you, Amy is in the busiest month of her life. And it's a pretty busy month for me too. And yet we're still trying to figure out, how do we do this? How do we get to know them and hear their story? The shepherds are a great example. The shepherds were outsiders. I mean, they were the lowest form of people in the land of Israel. And it's just amazing that the very first people God chooses to go to the manger, to go to the stable scene and see the birth of God with us, Emmanuel, were shepherds. We're not even told their names. And it's intentional that that's the very next part of the story, that we're told that God has come for outsiders, the lowly, the lonely, the rejected, those who feel like they have no significance or they've blown it. That's exactly who God's come for. And at some point, we recognize the call of Jesus in the foot washing, where he washes the disciples' feet to say, I've come to serve you. I've come to make a way for you to have friendship with God and forever. And I've done this by washing your feet, and now I'm going to do it by going to the cross for you. Well, Jesus ends that story of the foot washing by telling the disciples and telling you and me, now you wash one another's feet. And the question is, do we limit our experience with God or our closeness with God or the excitement of seeing God actually at work in our lives, actually, truly at work around us, because we don't step into the incarnational story, God on earth story of him using you and me in the lives of outsiders, where we make time for people who are struggling. We make time for people who don't go to church or have no interest in church, but we love them anyway. And we learn their past and we learn their struggle. And we offer them friendship. We offer them a seat at the table. It's often in that true, genuine expression of friendship where we're truly making room for the outsider or the lonely or the one who maybe isn't the most popular in the neighborhood, or somebody who can maybe eat up a little bit of extra time or has a pretty heavy weight on them. When you and I work into our lives making room for the outsider, as Jesus did for you and me, I'm telling you, it just opens the door to God, inviting him to come sit with us. We are saying yes to Jesus' invitation to sit and dine in friendship with him when we invite him close to us by inviting his children, his people, those who are outside of the norm or outside of what's culturally acceptable or popular, into friendship with us. And so on this Christmas Eve, the question that we've been asking, what better time, what more significant time of the year than tonight, than to say yes to the invitation of our God. God didn't approach this world in anger. He didn't approach this world with a message, I'm going to start over, or I'm going to wipe out those who've been selfish. He came to us in love to say it's never too late. There's a seat for you at my table of friendship and relationship. But the way you say yes to that is that you allow me time in the disruption. You allow me to love you and experience your pain and share your heavy load in the loss of control, in the unexpected moments of life. That we not try to use God to hurry up and get us back to normal, but we sit in the hurt, the sorrow, in the loneliness, and we say, God, wow, you've come into this broken world. You were born and lived in this broken world to experience my life, to come close to me. And I'm going to let you do that, God. I don't know when things are going to be made right. I don't know when the financial stress is going to alleviate. I don't know when you're going to open the next door of opportunity, but I'm going to allow you to be enough. I'm going to allow your presence to be the answer. And ultimately, I trust and know that you're going to lead me to good and beauty, as I love you. And the second way we say yes to God is we say yes to him by inviting outsiders to our table. We make room for those who are struggling and hurting. We express, as the hands and feet and voice and love of Jesus in this world, an extension of the incarnation, God on earth, God living in you and me, being offered and shared with others. I love you, church family, wherever you're watching from. If you're new here in the Dulles area, we're just super excited that you've taken time to join us on this Christmas Eve. We hope you'll come visit us in person at Lightridge High School on a Sunday morning soon. For those of you, many of you out of the area, even some in different countries who watch, we just love that you're part of our church family, even online. And I wish you tonight just a Merry Christmas, regardless of what's going on in your life, regardless of the circumstances right now, that you and me together agreeing right here that God, you can be close to me. I'm allowing your closeness to me, no matter what's happening. That's what unites us. That's what makes us church family. I love you very much, and I wish you a very happy Christmas.
Humbly you came.
And now on this Christmas Eve, we invite you to light those candles and join us as we magnify this amazing King who came into this broken world. Let's sing together. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, holy is
compassion. Holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace.
Hey Dulles family, I just want to say again, thank you for joining us for our Christmas Eve gathering. I'm super glad that we got to experience it together. And wherever you are, I want you to know that you are such a special and important part of this church family, of Dulles Church. And so please feel that from wherever you're watching, that you are a part of who we are. You're a part of our family. And so I'm so thankful that we were able to have Christmas Eve together. All right, a few notes about the coming weeks. Today is our church gathering for this weekend. So we will not have an in-person or an online gathering this coming Sunday on December 26th. The following week, we will be experiencing church together online. So it will be an all church online Sunday on January 2nd. And to kick off the new year, we're going to be showing a best of message from last year that we really believe allows us to go into 2022 with a full heart and a full soul. So you're going to want to see that one as well. January 9th is going to be our next in-person gathering, and we are going to be kicking off our relationship series. Now, this relationship series is really special because it's going to be led by Brad and Amy together. Now, when you hear relationship, you might think about dating, but it's more than that. It's about friendship, it's about family, and it's also about marriage. So it's going to be a series that is really important and really good for all of us to hear. So you want to be there for that as well. All right, guys, I'm so happy again that you were able to join us for Christmas Eve. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of Dulles Church. And from wherever you're watching, I hope that you guys have a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. I'll see you guys next time.